at the end of section 2.12, there's a little section on applets. And Java can run inside an applet, which is kind of like a little self-contained program. And that can also run on the web through a web browser, so it's kind of handy. And it's not very different from setting up the JComponent system we did earlier for drawing in a pane with a frame, but there's a couple little differences. So here it is. We import 3 of the same files as before: the graphics 2D, and the rectangle class, if we're going to draw rectangles. And then instead of importing the JComponent, we import JApplet, but it's javax.swing.japplet. And then when we set up our class, which, name it whatever, I called it rectangle applet, you have to extend JApplet instead of JComponent. So that's the main difference. You import JApplet and you extend JApplet instead of JComponent. The other major difference is, instead of doing a paint component method, the applet just has a paint method. And so public void paint graphics G, we do the usual conversion from graphics to graphics 2D, and then we start working on a rectangle. So you set up a rectangle, tell G2 to draw it. You can move it around, you can draw it again. You don't need to have 2 separate classes though. So in the last version, we had a viewer class that was setting up the frame and loading the component, and then we had the rectangle component class that we built that did this kind of stuff here. So it's a little simpler, and so if I run this, I'll show you one small difference. It runs in an applet viewer, so that's what that looks like, applet started. So it's slightly different than if we run an app that shows a system window with the frame and the JComponent class. But the other thing you can do with this is you can run this from a web browser. And so the way you would do that is you'd open up a text editor. Well, there's other ways to do it. You can probably do it inside of Eclipse as well, but I'm just going to do this with a text editor. And you can set up a real basic HTML page, which I'll do right now. Okay, here's what the HTML code looks like. If you're familiar with HTML, it's real simple stuff with the tags here. But the key line is the applet code. You can put text there or not, it doesn't matter. The key thing is the document has to have applet code, the name of the class, and then you can put in width and height just to clarify how big you want it to run. And then you close the applet tag there. You can have more than one of these. You could put in a separate applet and run 2 in the same window or same page. The only thing is you need to save this inside the same folder as this class file. Otherwise, you need to put in a longer reference file path name. So if you just want to use the name of the class, that's fine. It just make sure you're in the same folder. So to do that, I'm just going to go File, Save. And I'll call this my applet. And you just want to navigate to, Documents, Workspace, wherever your workspace is. Chapter 2, go in your source folder, Chapter 2. This is the package, and there's the files. And so I'm looking for my rectangle applet.java. So I guess when you use it I'm just realizing that's not .class, it's .java. It must be able to figure that out because it works. So my applet, I'll save it. This is a .html. I'm going to uncheck this box here. Depending on your text editor, you may have to set some of these special rules up, but it needs to end in .html there. And I'll click Save. And then if I go to my Finder and navigate to that spot, Chapter 2, Source, Chapter 2, you can see my applet right there. And I can double click that. It recognizes it's a web browser file. It opens up in Chrome, and Chrome says, of course, we don't support that. But the point is, it's working. It would call up those 2 rectangles right there if Chrome was friendly with Java, which apparently it's not. I'll just try it with Safari real quick. And let's open a file. Well, I guess Safari doesn't like it either. Seems like everybody got mad at Java not too long ago and disabled a lot of those features, but okay, well, maybe we'll just skip that part of the text. But that's how you do it. Applets work that way. You can get them to work on websites. We're not really going to in this class, so there you go.